Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming out and sharing lunch with us today. Sorry to interrupt. I'd like to get started. We got really happy today to have Matt Mahoney, who's the newly appointed Public Works Director for Franklin County. He's here to talk to us about Franklin County current project successes and future projects upcoming with Franklin County. Matt's been with the Franklin County for 22 years, 18 years as the lead design engineer there for the county, and really a committed, dedicated employee there at Franklin County. So I'd like to welcome Matt to come on up. Thanks, Matt. So I don't have a clicker.
Oh, that's all right.
You just hit.
I'll just jump over there. For those of you that know me, you're probably going, man, I'm really happy that he's brought notes because that'll keep me on point. First off, being the Public Works Director for Franklin County, I consider that to be truly a great honor. And to be able to serve the people of Franklin County in this way is just amazing to me. It's a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day, it's very gratifying. It's also an honor for me to be here. And as you can tell, this is my first speaking engagement as the Public Works Director. I've been going out and talking to staff all over the place, but you'd think I'd be more nervous for that, but I'm actually pretty nervous here. So we'll get through it. As soon as I start getting into the slideshow, I'll settle in, so I promise. First off, I'd like to thank Paul for inviting me. I'd like to thank all of you for the opportunity to come here and meet with you. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you for the work that you guys do. I just want to let you know that there are people in this world that truly appreciate the work that you folks do day in and day out. Before I continue, I'd like to introduce my and one back there, Guy Walters. Guy is the Assistant Public Works Director. He has been my direct supervisor for a good portion of my career at Franklin County, and he is truly one of my mentors in my professional life. So I'd like to point him out to you. One thing about me is I do wear many hats in my life. I am a father, a husband, and I think I sent it to him. I'm actually a musician, but in my musical life, you've got to use the term very loosely because I'm a drummer. Most people don't think drummers are musicians, but I just felt it was important for you all to know that, because actually my training is I actually have a degree in music education. So, and ultimately in life, I guess you figure out that you don't really want to do what you've been educated to do, so you change directions. So for me, it was a big change in direction to get to the point that I'm at. So the thing about me is, those of you who do know me, you know that I enjoy talking about the many hats that I do wear. But Paul's only giving me 20 minutes, so Travis, you can relax. You're not going to be here all day. All right? But for today, I'm going to focus on my involvement in the well over 100 county road projects that have been accomplished in my time with Franklin County. It's important to note, though, that county road projects mean a lot of different things. They involve a lot of different scopes. They can mean anywhere from a traffic engineering study, a planning study, all the way to construction. So I don't want to give you the illusion that I've been part of the construction of over 100 different elements, but we have seen a lot of things occur in Franklin County since I've been there. And those county road projects have had direct impacts on the county itself, and of course have laid the groundwork for the transportation facilities that we have in Franklin County. So that's going to lead me into the slideshow here, the presentation. So I'll just kind of walk over and hit a few of these things. In Franklin County, this is our current county road system as it currently lies today. In the last 20 years, I have actually seen the miles that you see up there switch places. Right now, we're showing total gravel roads of approximately 390 miles, total paved roads of approximately 600. When I started here 20 years ago, it was completely flip-flopped. And within that total paved roads, we have what we consider to be all-weather roads. Being an agricultural county, it's important that when we get into the winter months and we get into those freeze-thaw cycles, that we have roads that people can travel on with full loads on their trucks to get the agricultural supplies in and out. Some of them may be getting, perishable items from eggs to milk out of our county. Some may be just bringing feed in to the different feedlots that we have. So those all-weather road miles are very important, not only to us, but to the people in Franklin County and the businesses. That's just kind of showing, and it's tough to see, I apologize, but what we're really showing here is our gravel and paved roads. And the green ones there, the green line, kind of gives you a good depiction of the ratio of paved to gravel that we have. Since we can't see that very good. And what we got there, you can see this a lot better. This is our all-weather road system as it falls in with all of the paved roads that we have. So of the 84.69 miles of all-weather roads, approximately 70 of those miles have been actually completed in the last 20 years. This represents approximately 50% of our federal classified routes in Franklin County. And this has all been really benefited by the highway system that we have in Franklin County, with 395, SR 17, some of those major highways, to where we can actually get the people in our county direct access to the highway system during those months of the year or times of the year where it could be major impacts to our road system having those heavy loads traveling on it. That all being said, this brings us to those significant county road projects that have been constructed in the last 3 years. And these have directly added to the all-weather road miles that Franklin County has. And those are East Foster Wells Extension Phase 2. We call it 500T because T stands for Tiger 2. 593 Road 100 Dent Road Extension, and 596 R170 landslide area. And what's good about this is there's actually individuals in here that are directly responsible for the completion of these projects. HDR and JEB, I believe, both have representatives here. I saw Mike Murray in here. And the work that they've done with us has helped us to complete these and add to our road system. So I want to thank you guys for all the hard work you've done. So what I'm going to do is go through East Foster Wells Road Extension. That's the most current project that we've completed. That gives you basically an idea. We had finished this section here in previous phases. Phase 1 was completed in 2004, and then this was the final Phase 2 construction there that gives us basically that new connection to the Pasco-Colotis Road. These are just some project background. This project was actually first put on the RTIP and then the STIP. It was adopted in 1983. So this is one of those projects that when I showed up at the county was one of those legacy projects. And it took us a while, but ultimately in September of 1993 is when the Board of County Commissioners actually established CRP 500. March 2004, we finished the Phase 1 project. In September 2010, which was a very important date for us because here we have this project ready to go and we don't have the money to complete it. So we actually submitted for Tiger 2 funds, and as far as I know, we were the only county in the United States, is that right? To get a Tiger II grant. And we're one of 3 agencies, or actually one of 2, because the other 2 projects in this state actually were state projects. So definitely being one of 3 in Washington State was a big deal for us. And so that adding that money helped us to actually move forward to complete it. And that moves us on to where we had the completion of the project. And what we're going to do here is give you some before and give you a little main features, show you all the different funding. A little over $1 million in Tiger II discretionary grant. We made good use of our STP funds for the other portion of it. Local funds, $260,000 for a total project cost, and this is just for the phase 2 project of $2.9 million. Thing about this project is the benefits and needs were reached across multiple lines here. We're seeing direct benefit to our county crews, so they constantly are coming in thanking us for getting this done. But ultimately, it provides a direct access to the SR 395 corridor from the PK, or Pasco-Clovis Road. Reduces traffic volumes and congestion on Pasco-Clovis Road near SR 12 by over 50%. Decreases round-trip haul distances from US 395 to farms located east of Pasco-Clovis Road. And I know y'all can read this, but I want to just reiterate that what's important in what we do is that there definitely be a need. And we always try to make sure, because a lot of us, even for a legacy project like this, ultimately you got to really evaluate if there's still a need. This was first established in 1983. I wasn't there in 1983. I was still enjoying high school, and so it's important for always to go back and on these types of projects and really determine if there truly is a need. And important for us is that it provided an all-weather access when other roads are closed to truck traffic. And that's just what happens in our county, is there's just times where we close down our road system to truck traffic. The damage that can be caused is just too great. And so this allows us to keep specific roads open to take care of the farm-to-market traffic in our county. One of the things here that, from an innovation standpoint, a lot of you are looking at it, you're going, innovation, it's just a 34-foot span by 17-foot rise bottomless structural plate arch. What's important about this is, one of the things is we were crossing Smith Canyon. Smith Canyon is a USBR, United States Bureau of Reclamation facility. They actually have this as a wildlife habitat area. And it was very important to them that, well, first off, they didn't even want us to build a road across Smith Canyon. So to get by that, we really had to do our jobs, and JUB did a really good job of coming up with a design that allowed wildlife to get through. Now, in the state of Washington at the time, there wasn't really a lot of guidance on openness indexes and all that, so they went to other areas, and I believe, Colorado, Montana, to really look at those types of issues to make sure, I know most of you may not be familiar with this area, but there's a lot of wildlife, and some of it's very large. I mean, we've seen definitely deer, elk. I heard you sent me a picture that there was, a moose in there? Somebody did. I thought it was a fake picture. I was like, well, what? But it was very important to them, and we were able to accomplish it. Some of the other things that the features in this is because it is a natural wasteway for the irrigation district, is we wanted to make sure that this would remain stable and would not wash away underneath the actual culvert, bottomless arch there from just a maintenance standpoint. And so we used basically open cell mats in the bottom of this, and then we came back over the top and put soil and vegetation over the top of it so that it would still remain inviting to the animals, but also maintain that stability that we needed for long-term maintenance. So And I apologize for the before and after, but this gives you an idea of what we were looking at before the project ever started. So we just had a trip down there. FHWA engineer from Olympia came down to do a final walkthrough of this project. And what's interesting is we spent all of our time down in this arch. And I think if she had her way, I think we would have done multiple castings of the hoof prints and everything in there. But it was very important to them. It was definitely very important to the team that actually selected the Tiger II projects. This was one of those things that they were really focusing on, was just the protection of habitat and how a highway system can really function, in harmony with the natural habitat. And so it was a very important piece for the selection, and we went to great lengths to make sure that we would be able to really remain in harmony with wildlife, and that has happened. We're basically seeing great use through that by the animals. So the next one is CRP 593, Road 100, and this you all have probably seen or read about. This is the one where Franklin County, probably for the first time ever, started the condemnation proceedings. Well, luckily we didn't have to go through it. We didn't have to condemn everything. We were actually able to come to an agreement with the landowner. What was interesting about this, if you've ever been out there, City of Pasco has Broadmoor Boulevard. Broadmoor Boulevard ultimately kept getting shorter and shorter because there's an active sand dune there. And a lot of people didn't know it, but there was actually a cul-de-sac there at one time. It just ultimately became covered by approximately 20 to 30 feet of sand. And so this was an ongoing problem. And for us to extend this from the interchange there at Road 100 Broadmoor Boulevard north into Franklin County, really to provide much needed access to a lot of the development that's going on along the river, and that's actually just north of Pasco, the urban growth boundary and the city limits, to even along the river shore, even up to 5 miles north of this area. So it was definitely a very needed and very important route, but how do we deal with the sand? So as we go through there, we'll kind of give you our thought. And that gives you a breakdown. What we did was, this is the old Dent Road that comes through like this. We virtually replaced this section here of Dent Road. So approximately 2 miles of Dent Road, with extending this section here, what takes care of a lot of the development over in this area, gives them direct access to the interchange, and then taking it up north 2 miles, connecting to Fanning Road. Long term, we'll actually take that a little farther and connect to Columbia River Road. But at the time when we were doing this, we saw no immediate benefit to doing that. The impacts to the farmers did not justify going ahead and continuing north. So we took it to Fanning, did some spot improvements along Fanning and the intersection of Fanning as it connects to Columbia River Road. We also did some local projects to pave some of the gravel roads coming down to really take care of the people that are north of this area. There's some quick project background. What we like to do in Franklin County is we have a small window to get some of our irrigation work done. So it's quite common for us to put stuff out in phases. And phase one in this case was taking care of all the irrigation canal modifications, getting that complete. And you can see there's actually a pretty good time lapse there. Now, the reason for that time lapse is there was some cash flow issues with the funding mechanism that we had, which in this case was RATA funds, or what we often refer to as RAP funds that are taken care of by County Road Administration Board. And so we actually held off on actually putting this project out until the funds that have already been authorized for our project would become available. So that explains that 2-year lapse there. We're showing $2.6 million in RATA funds. We utilized $640,000 in local funds for a total project cost of 3.2. From a needs benefit, anybody who's been along Road 68, everything with all the development, I think would agree with that first statement. And when we did the traffic study, it was quite obvious to us that one of the definite benefits of this would be to reduce the amount of traffic congestion on Road 68. So this also reduced traffic volumes on Court Street and the Harris Road northwest of I-182. It provided an additional north-south collector connecting Road 100 to Columbia River Road, that east-west collector serving the developing areas along the Columbia River. And for us, it provided us another all-weather access when other local roads are closed to truck traffic. The innovation on this was utilizing sand fences along the, along the roadway where the active dunes were. And I'll just be honest with you, our thought process was we aren't going to stop the dunes from moving. I mean, as much as we just don't have that kind of money. So what our thought process was is we would utilize these sand fences, which are typically used when you're trying to establish dunes, and we would allow the sand fences to block the sand from actually blowing and continuing to move. It would come over and it would allow our maintenance crews the opportunity, the time, to actually go in there and be able to clean these areas out to keep the dunes from ultimately moving. And I will tell you, I've been out there fairly recently. This is actually working really, really well. So we've been really happy to this point with the outcome. And like I said, this is another one that, with the help of some very good engineers from the consulting world, we were able to come up with some very innovative ideas on dealing with some of these complex problems. And what's funny about it is it's really kind of an easy fix, but when you put a lot of engineers in the same room together, sometimes you get all these great ideas, and when you start penciling out the numbers, it's like, we don't have billions of dollars. So this actually is working really well. We're very happy. Our maintenance crews are very happy about it. And the people that live right there in those housing developments right off of Broadmoor Boulevard, they're extremely happy about it because that's just been an ongoing problem for them. And I apologize for the light, but what we're trying to do here is trying to show the before and after, and of course they go down like this, but actually showing the active dunes. You get a good idea of what those sand fences are like there. And those sand fences that you see there are actually not, right after they were put up. This is actually a few weeks, I believe almost a month after these were installed. And around here in that time frame, we have had windy days. And so for us, they're working quite well. You can see that we do have a little bit in there where it's kind of covered up the track marks from the track hoe, but that's what we wanted it to do. And as it piles up, we'll have the ability to get in there before it overtakes our roadway. So, and this is a biggie, and hopefully all of you are in here are familiar with this. I know I know Mike Murray is. This is the R170 landslide area, and we'll kind of go through this. I'm showing a project map here, and ultimately our route is pretty consistent with this. The old route, of course, was through here, and as we get in, I'll talk a little bit about that. But here's some of the project background. The landslide happened on May 13th. It covered approximately a quarter mile of R170 road with up to 50-foot depth of soil and debris. And to be honest with you, the fact that nobody died in this is miraculous because this came very close to a house. Ultimately, the people felt the rumbling, heard it, walked out, and literally watched it go within feet of their house, standing there watching it. So on May 15th, the Board of County Commissioners declared an emergency, and Governor Gregoire granted at $800,000 in emergent funding. So from there, that's where the project began. Like I said, we like to do things in phases, get them while the getting's good as it pertains to the irrigation facilities. And I think it's also good for me to note that the irrigation actually lost quite a bit of canal in this as well. So it was really a joint project with them as they're trying to get their facilities back in working order with us trying to get a road. So we did do a lot of the canal relocation, some of the irrigation modifications were done in other phases. We got some ARA funds were awarded, put out the phase 2 road alignment to Selling Construction. They completed it in December of 09, 2010. We got some surface transportation priorities funds awarded, and we're able to actually award and complete phase 3. So just kind of going through here and looking at the funding, I'm showing the $800,000 in federal emergent funds that came from Governor Gregoire. Our ARA funds is $750,000. The priority funds, $1.9. RATA funds, CRAB was very instrumental in us getting this project done as well. A little over $2 million. Local funds, $371,000 for a total project cost of $5.9 million, almost $6 million. So the benefits and needs on this project were pretty obvious. We needed to reestablish a major collector roadway. We need to reestablish that north-south corridor to through traffic line west of Glade North, reestablish that east-west connection to SR 17. We had to reestablish a very important transportation link for farm-to-market mobility. And I need to add, that wasn't in here, is this is a route that a lot of people from the north all the way to Othello and Moses Lake used to get to a very important fishing area called Ringgold. So this was, this impacted a lot of people that went even beyond just our county itself. But for us, again, provide an all-weather access when other local roads are closed to truck traffic. Some of the innovation on here was, and I'm not sure so much innovation, but during the process, what we wanted to do is we're looking at, because a lot of people might say, well, why don't you just build a road over the dunes? Why don't you just clear the material off? Why don't you do all these things? Why are you looking at building a new road? Well, what we found in the study, when the people came in to actually look at that formation, what they call the Ringgold Formation, was it wasn't a matter of if this happens again, it was a matter of when. So it's very important for us to provide a safe alternative route which was immune to future landslides. So that means we had to find a way around this area where if it did slide, it ultimately would never get to our road again. So we located a new roadway on the existing irrigation right-of-way and canal. Now what's good about this, what's innovative about this is actually taking what the stakeholders say to heart, which is important. When we are dealing with, in our case, dealing with the public, it's very important that we hear everything they're telling us. And by moving to a new corridor, the impacts to their farms would have been incredible. And so what came out of these meetings with stakeholders was, hey, why don't we use the existing canal right away, and can we put a road there? And that set us on a path looking in that area. So what we did is we relocated the existing canal to new pipelines. There's dual pipes out there. And in the process, we replaced 2 bridges and our box culverts and constructed a new structure over USBR facilities and designed and reconstructed 4 major intersections. And we kind of get into some before and after here, just kind of highlighting, move this bridge. Because we changed the functionality of this existing road, because we did use existing roads when we could, we changed the functionality of this road, which the traffic was much lower, increase in traffic. We had a bridge that ultimately became functionally obsolete. In its previous state, under the ADT it had, it was perfectly fine. So what we had to do was literally remove for all intent and purpose, a structurally sound bridge to get the width that we need. Worked with the irrigation district to really go from here to there. This is where we are actually tying into Sage Hill Road, which gives you that north route all the way into Adams County. Coming across here, put in that pipe there. And then here is where you can see actually the old canal right-of-way is in there. That's an O&M road, and the road following through that. So really kind of winding through the circles. So, let me see here. For us, as we continue to move forward and meet the ever-growing farm-to-market transportation needs of our residents and businesses, and that's whether they're agricultural or otherwise, it is important that we continue to increase our paved miles, and more importantly, that we continue to grow our all-weather road system. So as we continue forward in this path, we're happy that the groundwork has been really set. You know, I believe that we've done a really good job in the years that I've been there of getting paved roads. We've actually flip-flopped the numbers and turning gravel roads into paved roads. And in the process, they've been able to turn a lot of those paved roads into all-weather roads. And for us in Franklin County, it's something that we are extremely proud of, and it's something that we look forward to continuing in the future. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to any questions, and hopefully I can answer them. And so, oh, come on, Travis.
Are you tracking any of the livestock or any animal strikes on the new road, the one with the culvert was built?
Yeah, today we have not seen any. So it's not typically one of those things in Franklin County we track, but to be honest with you, in this area, it's something that we are tracking. So.
I'm curious on the Road 100. That road there. I saw the funding that came through with that, and it was a decent sized chunk of local funding.
Mm-hmm.
Because the water portion of that seems to be that recalls in their road manager for the city of Pasco. Did they contribute in some regard?
No, not in this regard. What's interesting about it is the majority of the funds that we use, the RATA funds, are specifically for rural projects. And so a lot of the design that we did was actually outside of the corporate city limits, definitely inside of the urban growth boundary. But it was important that, from our standpoint, for the funding mechanism that we were using, that it ultimately be spent in the rural area. So, but Pasco, I think because of that, I think actually they imposed impact fees on us, or wanted to, didn't they, for increasing traffic on the interchange. No, I'm just kidding.
So speaking of city limits, I'm right in the donut hole area. What's that annexation going to do to your county road budgets? What's the impact?
Guy, do you remember the numbers on that?
No, we're not a maximum levy assessment, so whatever the city of Pasco ends up taking from us, we can up our levy rate and pick up on it. So financially, it's not paying back on the county.
Yeah. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but I don't even want to speak, because I don't want to tell you wrong numbers, but I can get those numbers for you. I just don't have them in front of me, what the financial impacts are directly to the county road budget.
What projects are next as far as priorities for the county?
Well, what's interesting is, and I was hoping that we could actually see it a little bit better here. And I don't know if it's just ultimately going to take less lights in here, but this to me is probably one of the most important maps that we look at. And like I said, the red here that you see is our all-weather road system. And you can see where, from our standpoint, we have gaps in there, missing links. And so right now, we actually have created a CRP, or in the process, to finish up this missing link on the Pasco-Clotis Road, which is approximately 5 miles of road to be completed. And you can see missing links in here. We've made the connections to 395, but there's large portions of Glade North Road that still need to be brought up to an all-weather standard so that we can actually complete those connections. So for us, as we're looking at these and we're developing our priorities, those are the areas that we're really looking at so that we can really complete these loops. And that's ultimately to get people out of our county and get them to the highway system and be able to have both, access both directions. So that's why for us, and I think Guy would agree, this is a very important map to us. And like I said, Franklin County, Guy can probably speak to this a little bit better. We're doing a lot better than most when it comes to our all-weather road system. So it's something that the people in our county, the businesses, the farmers, whether they be cattlemen, whether they're really focused on, to the point where we actually sent out surveys to them to really give us a better understanding of which areas we should be focusing on immediately. And so we're actually speaking to these individuals and these businesses, whether they be, we focus really on feedlots. What are some of the others?
I've got quite a few
dairies.
We're the #1 hay production county in the state. In fact, we lead that state by the top farm for agricultural commodities for the state. So a heavily agricultural county that relies on getting product in and out of our counties.
Yeah. So as we head to the future and answer your question, is we're definitely looking at these areas and completing and bringing those up to an all-weather standard. And in the process, to do that, we're trying to get out in front. And we're also a county that's heavily reliant upon funding. And as you can see from up there, we, I think, are doing a good job of getting the best bang for our buck when it comes to the funding that's out there. And as we continue into the future, I think that I need to add, Matt Rasmussen is the new county engineer for Franklin County, and we are extremely happy to have him on board. Unfortunately, we had to take him from you, Paul. But Matt, our focus as we continue forward is to really tap in to as many of those funds that are out there. And so we're going to really focus heavily on trying to bring as much funding to Franklin County as we can. And we're going to be looking in some different areas that we actually have never looked at before. But we know that there's actual other sources of funding out there. So we've done a lot in 20 years. And I'm very happy about that, and I think that I've worked with a great team at Franklin County through the years, and with that, we've had some amazing teamwork with a lot of the individuals that are in here today to get us to that point. So as I sit here, I'm thinking, man, we've done a lot in 20 years. Can we maybe now do it in 10 years, do the same amount in 10 years? So that's something that Matt and I agree on. So we're going to be actively pursuing funding, and to the point where we're thinking, well, maybe we need to hire somebody that's all they do. So it's really a big focus for us because we're really excited about moving forward and trying to increase. I mean, our goal ultimately would be to have no gravel roads in Franklin County. Maintenance may go up a little bit, but I'll tell you what, the people in our county would be much happier. And if it makes them happy, it certainly makes me happy. So we're going to do everything we can to, I mean, that's pretty much our goal right now, to do in 10 years what it's taken us 20 years to do. And if we can even match what we did in the 20 years that I've been there, I think we'll be doing really well. So, anything else? Any other questions?
What's the status of Peterson Road?
I knew you were going to ask that. Right now, Peterson Road, we are actually in the process of studying some alternate routes and developing those alternate route maps and really going back to the drawing board per se a little bit, but meeting with the stakeholders on those proposed routes and really getting that narrowed down. Right now, we hit what I would consider to be a major roadblock when you're dealing with one landowner and the landowner does not want a road, especially a public road, a county road, built through their farm. There's not much that we can do. And the commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners, I have the same opinion as they do. I do not believe in condemnation. I don't. I think that there's other ways, and if we do our job, we can find ways that will work out for everybody. So. That being said, again, I'd just like to thank Paul. I'd like to thank the ASCE Columbia section and you, the members, and please know that I do admire what you do. I really do. It is important what you do, and it is extremely appreciated, and I look forward to seeing you all again. So, thank you.
Hey, thanks. On behalf of ASCE, there's a environmentally friendly water, reusable water method. So, thanks again for coming. I appreciate it. So just so y'all know, as a reminder, next month is going to be our Ice Harbor Dam tour. It was originally scheduled for this month at McNary, but it's going to be next month, which is tomorrow, November 28th at Ice Harbor. So if you'd like to attend, make sure to RSVP either with Teresa or with myself. And let us know by the 14th so that way we can get you on the list for security. If there was any that happened to be foreign nationals, which I can't imagine anyone would be here looking at the crowd here, but those needed to be turned in like by today. So if anyone you know wanted to attend that was a national, they have a lot more work to do to get in because of Homeland Security. So thanks again. Thanks for coming out and having lunch with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month.
Rick, that was Ice Harbor Dam, not brewery.
Ice Harbor Dam.